Good afternoon, evening or morning, YouTube, whenever you are watching this. So, yes, I've not been training this week. I've been rather poorly, to say the least. Got a bit of an infected eye, which is getting better. Looked a lot worse the other day. And I've had just a general viral infection. It's affected my ear, which was really painful one day. There's been a lot of dry coughing. But right now, in this current moment, I'm able to speak freely and not be coughing constantly, which is absolutely delightful. Like literally the night and day difference from yesterday morning when I was doing a load of check-ins and coughing through them all, barely able to speak, to now is fantastic. And that's because I actually went to the doctors yesterday. I tend to try and just avoid, especially something like what would be perceived to be like a common cold. So I'm not going to go to the doctors for that. You know, I'm not going to take up their time. And then it was just seeming like this is not a common cold. Like all the usual remedies that I can think of, the hot salt gargling, the honey, the strepsils, everything's not working. So it's not a throat thing. It wasn't. It was a nose thing that was like going into my throat. So I've been using nose drops, feeling a lot better. Maybe training's on the cards tomorrow. Anywho, the point of this video actually is just thought I'd do a sit down of my blood results. So I had my bloods taken on Monday. There is a really good company in the UK called Eval, who I've pretty much always used. They're local. They come around to my house and do them, which is fantastic. Always get my bloods done privately, and the aim as well, when like if you are using assistance, is really, you know, getting your bloods done around a cycle. So I've talked in previous videos about the last cycle I did, which was Anavar only, and that finished about 6 weeks ago. So yeah, my coach just basically said, you know, give it 5 or 6 weeks before you get your bloods run, because like if you get your bloods run like straight after your cycle, then there's going to be like markers that are off, and it's like because of that, really, you know, like you might see like raised ALT, which is like, you know, a sign of liver damage, which obviously Anavar passing through your liver, that, you know, it's going to cause some like liver damage at the time. But obviously what you want to do is then wait a few weeks, and then if you take your bloods and things are back in range, we're good. Do you know what I mean? Whereas obviously if you take your bloods straight after you've done a cycle, things are going to look out of range. There's going to be a lot of red within your readings. So yeah, it makes sense to just wait a few weeks. And the good news is I've literally got 2 reds on my entire blood test, which I'll put up on the screen so you can kind of have a little bit of visual of what sort of things get tested. But yes, like when you go to the doctors, maybe you'll get like a full blood count, which is pretty standard, and that like tells you like, you know, what like your white blood cells are like, your red blood cells, hematocrit, all those kind of things. But yeah, like I think last time I got my bloods done, not last time, but there was a time that I got them done at the doctor's while I was on prep, and my white blood cell count was out of range, but that was like a sign of an infection. But this time around it was all good, and the infection signs that I got was actually from the higher ferritin reading there, but it's only ever so slightly high. So yeah, not really an issue. But yeah, these are like the biochemistry readings that you might often get from the doctor as well, like looking at your iron levels and stuff like that as well. So all of that was pretty much in range, apart from a slightly elevated ferritin, which is actually all right. Kidney function, liver function, these things, you know, these are what might be affected by Anavar use. But no, all good as well. Like a lot of the time, just anyone who trains might see elevated creatinine levels just from training. And I actually hadn't trained when I got my bloods taken. Like they came to me in the morning, which was fantastic. I was actually planning on training that, like this was Monday morning, so I was planning on training during the day, which I ended up doing, and I probably shouldn't have done because I was a little bit poorly. And then I was going to go get my bloods done in the afternoon, but like legend as usual offered to come to my house, and they came in the morning, which worked out a lot better for me because it meant I hadn't trained, because I did take Saturday off the gym due to being a bit poorly. I stupidly trained on Monday because I thought I'm all right now, I'm not that bad, it's just a bit of a lurgy. But on Saturday I took it off because I'd been pretty poorly all last week. I trained through on Friday. My coach wasn't happy with me for doing that, and on Saturday I did take it off. So I hadn't trained for Saturday and Sunday, and then getting my bloods run on Monday morning after a weekend away from training, creatinine was actually in range, which is probably the first time when I've ever had my bloods taken that it has been in range, which was quite nice to see. So to be fair, ALT can be elevated by like just training as well. But as you can see, my liver function's all good. ALT, yeah, well below 35 there. So yeah, I've had it before, like come back at like sort of 37, that kind of marker, where it's just been slightly elevated when I've run a cycle, but well within range. And yeah, things like that as well with like with the lipids. You know, you might see your HDL and LDL out of sync, out of whack after like running an anabolic cycle. However, again, back in range. If it had been out, it's back in. But when I got my bloods run post prep as well, then things were in range, and this is down to using Support Max. So previous cycles where things have been like lipids and liver has been out of range is I hadn't used Support Max. And then on the prep and also on this last cycle I just did, get my bloods back, everything's in range. So yeah, that like Support Max itself does promote like, you know, healthy liver function and everything like that. So, and cholesterol as well. So it really is worth, in my opinion, just taking, not in my opinion, in my experience, it is worth taking like a support product alongside, you know, if you are running a cycle, then, you know, this is just going to help. So while you are quite literally trashing your organs, you know, acutely, then it's a good idea alongside that to be counteracting those effects by taking a support product. If you're going to spend the money on the Anavar, on the Primo, whatever you're taking, spend the money on like a support product as well. It doesn't have to be Support Max from Strom, but there's lots of other like brands that do like support ranges, like Trained by JP, for example, or like Supplement Needs. So yeah, I mean, to be fair, the supplement company I work with, they stock all these different brands. So if you have a look, if you want any kind of other recommendations, I can personally recommend Support Max because it clearly has worked for me twice now. But yeah, you can do that. The link is in the description below for the website. My code is Emily10, and yeah, you can get anything, get a little discount using my code, and you can get anything if you're planning on running a cycle. You might as well literally like support your organs at the same time as trashing them. That's a really silly way of putting it, but yeah, you know what I mean. Like, you might as well counteract some of the negative health implications by taking something alongside your cycle. So I'm really glad I've done that. I'm really pleased to see liver function and lipids all in range. Next, we've got testosterone, we've got cortisol, we've got prolactin hormones. So testosterone is, you know, that's a very healthy like amount for a female to have. You know, I hear some females like with like 0.1 is like the testosterone when they're like the back end of a prep or that kind of thing. But to be sort of like bang in the middle of like a healthy range there is nice. It's like I haven't got elevated testosterone or anything like that. It's just nicely in the middle. Cortisol is quite high, but like it's in range. So yeah, my coach was saying he's surprised my cortisol isn't higher. He knows how stressed I've been. He knows I've not been well, obviously. But yeah, cortisol is higher, like on the higher end. Yeah, but not like super high. Obviously, you can see that you've got different ranges for like whether it would be in the morning when cortisol is likely to be more elevated compared to in the evening, like 8 p.m. to 4 p.m. Where it would be lower. But obviously, like we're in the morning where the range of cortisol can quite easily go up to like 500, but mine is like still within that range. So great. And again, prolactin, slap bang in the middle, sort of. So I've had times where prolactin's been elevated, and yeah, obviously that can like cause quite a few issues. Like as a basic one, like prolactin is sort of like the antagonist hormone to dopamine. So when your prolactin's elevated, you'll find that dopamine is dropped off, and you might find that you're not feeling very good in yourself, that you might be feeling a little bit depressed. I've had that experience in the past where prolactin's been elevated. You can take P5P, which is a product from Strom as well. And it's like, I'm always just going to back Strom products because I use a lot of them, and they're always fantastic. So yeah, I've used P5P in the past to bring my prolactin back down. But yeah, I don't need to do that this time because it's in range. And then yeah, estradiol, progesterone in range. You'll see the nice breakdowns here of like depending what phase you're in, like of your menstrual cycle or whether you're post-menopause as well. Then obviously the ranges for like healthy estrogen and progesterone will fluctuate depending on what phase of your cycle you're in. So you can see how it goes up when you're in your ovulation phase. The ranges are higher. In your follicular phase, they're a little bit lower. And then in a luteal phase, they're different again. So yeah, it will depend what portion of your menstrual cycle you are in as to what the range can be. But like either way, I'm in range for all of the potential phases. I think, let me think about it, I probably was closest to my ovulation phase when at the moment. So yeah, probably closest to my ovulation phase at the time that my bloods were taken. But yeah, if you're not aware of these kind of things and what phases of the menstrual cycle there are, I suggest like just looking into it and learning. And if you're not aware of what stages of your cycle you might be in, I would just recommend learning. Like it's shocking how many females have no idea about like the menstrual cycle and what different phases there are and what that means for like your sort of like estradiol, progesterone levels, and how that can actually affect you mood, your strength, and all these kind of things. That have an impact on our day-to-day, on our training and stuff like that. So it's well worth just looking into it, and having a basic understanding of the different phases. All other sort of like hormones there were in range as well. Happy with that. Thyroid's buzzing to have them back in range, because the last bloods that I ran was like, more like a post-prep. So yeah, buzzing to have them in range. Like the last time I had my thyroids, it was like I was still taking exogenous T3, T4. So to see now that they're nicely in range, like again, like T4, but pretty much in the middle of the healthy range, and same with their like 3T3. So I'm really happy about that. Yeah, really good that they're just back in range now. I mean, I'm not surprised, to be fair. Like I'm putting away like 3,000 calories a day at the moment. Like that's on a rest day, which I'm obviously resting this week. My weight is maintained now for like nearly 6 weeks. And if my thyroids were out of whack, I would expect to have a lot more kind of fluctuations, things like not like if my thyroid had like dropped under range after pulling out, say, the exogenous T3 and T4, then I would probably expect to be seeing like the scales increasing and stuff like that, which is what happened very initially when they first came out. But nope, everything's nicely in range. I'm maintaining my weight nicely. It's not a problem. It's like feedback for me there that despite the fact that I did run T3 and T4 for like pretty much 20 odd weeks, because it was like right at the start of my prep, like week 2 up until about 6 weeks post show. So there was a long portion of time there, but pretty much half a year, that I was like running exogenous thyroid hormones, and to have them back in range now is fantastic, because it would be pretty much a shame to think that I'd fucked my natural thyroid function, but I haven't. Woo! So that's great, because yeah, there was a time when we first pulled them out and my coach was like, you might just be that person that has to unfortunately like just run exogenous T3 and T4 year round if things don't settle. But settle they did, and just means that maybe down the line, maybe next prep for example, I could potentially use T3, T4 again. Like I said previously in another video, whether I'd use them on a mini cut. I mean, I'm probably more inclined to now, knowing that my thyroids have responded well and bounced back. Obviously not saying that they'll bounce back every time if I keep on using it, but for now it's nice to know that I have bounced back. Yeah. And then finally, just like elevated B12, which isn't really an issue. I mean, generally speaking, if your B12 is elevated, it's quite uncommon for B12 to be high, but if it is, it's usually just a sign of like over supplementation. A lot of like the supplements we run, like whether that's like the strong products that I sort of tend to run, they'll be quite high in B12 dosing. So, and also like obviously I'm putting away a lot of calories at the moment, and within that I eat a lot of variety of foods. So like, yeah, it might just be like generally elevated. I'm just too healthy. But yeah, no, it's fine. So the only 2 red markers were like due to an infection, which I've got, and due to like maybe over supplementation of B12. So really the best bloods I've ever seen. My coach said as well, best bloods he's ever seen. So yeah, really happy with that. And like, yeah, hopefully this just demonstrates, obviously, I've got no intentions of running anabolics ever again, but hopefully this just shows that like, obviously it's not healthy, but it can be managed, and you can, relatively speaking, bounce back from like a health perspective. Obviously, in terms of like the other sort of side effects that I've talked about with virilization, like you can't really bounce back from them. Like, yeah, you can bounce back from like the ones that happen while you're on cycle, like whether that's acne or whatever it is, that's obviously your skin's going to clear again, but other ones that I talked about and that happened to me, like that you're not going to bounce back once you've changed like your female physiology and stuff, altered your hormonal profile, like that's not going to bounce back. So there is no coming back from like those type of virilization side effects. But in terms of like the acute like health implications from when you run a cycle, like you can, when you well manage it, when you take supplementation alongside it, when you are eating well, good nutrition, sleeping well, looking after yourself in general, which is something I'm very keen on. I'm very big on my sleep hygiene, you know, my fruit and vegetable intake, just everything else alongside what I do. I am, I know it sounds contradictory, but I am very health conscious. So no, I'm honestly really happy with my bloods. I'm really happy with the fact that I'm recovering from this horrible virus, ready in time for Christmas. I hope this video has helped. You know, these are the things that you need to be really thinking about. If you don't have any business, you know, running PEDs if you're not prepared to regularly get your bloods done. It's not cheap. That test cost me £190, and I'll do that, you know, 3-4 times a year. So you need to be willing to put the money in. You need to be willing to put the money in to buy the supplementation as well as the actual PEDs themselves, to sort of like mitigate some of the health implications. And if you are not in a financial position for that, then yeah, I'd strongly consider that's another reason to kind of maybe think against it, because if you're not prepared to spend the money on your health, you know, for muscle gain and whatever other reasons that I've talked about in my last video, that we opt to go down the assisted route, like it's not worth it if you're not able to kind of, or not able but not prepared to sort of like look after your like health as well. So yeah, I hope this has shown that yes, we can do this in like the healthiest way possible. And yeah, there are lots of things that you can do outside of supplementation and things like that to kind of stay as healthy as you possibly can through like the lifestyle that you lead and how well you look after yourself and recovery and sleep and everything like that. So yeah, I'll wrap it up here. Thank you everyone who's got this far. If you've watched this whole thing, then fantastic. If you've watched my other videos, then fantastic. Thank you so much for the support this year and previous years if you've been along for that long. Yeah, if you are new, obviously just subscribe, like the button if you learned something or if you enjoyed it. Like the button, like the video, click the like button. I'm trying my best. I'm recovering. It's okay. We're good. And yes, this will probably be my last video now of 2023, I think, because yeah, not going to be doing much training. I might go to the gym tomorrow or the day after, but after that I'll be in the middle of nowhere where my parents live, and there's no gyms there. So this probably will be my last video of the year. Plenty more to come in the new year. I'm going to be documenting my mini cut like week on week. You know, there will be visual changes, trust me, because we're going in. Like, I am so ready for the mini cut. Even though I've been poorly, I've been keeping on top of my nutrition, I've been maintaining my weight, been getting my steps in. You know, I just haven't been training, but I'm still in a prime position to pull back and have like a really aggressive start to the mini cut. So yeah, looking forward to documenting that in the new year and all the exciting plans I've got for next year with my business and my clients and everything like that, shows and stuff. So yes, stay along for the ride, and I will see you in the new year. Happy New Year. Ciao for now.